Hello, welcome back to the Corporate Burnouts. Hey, Mandy, how are you?
Doing so good. How are you?
I'm good. I am wishing fall into existence
Yeah.
because I'm about
It's the
done with
hottest
100
freaking summer.
degrees.
Yeah.
Yeah. I say that every year. Every year. Texas
Texas is
has
hot.
hot
Yeah.
summers. It
Mm-hmm.
just is what it is. But there's
Yeah.
like no end in sight. We're
Yeah.
on day 17 of 100 plus degrees. And I, Chase and I were talking about it last night. I think we probably still have another 6 weeks of this madness. It's
That's
wild.
crazy. Over 100. So we just had like 90 plus. So it felt like over 100 every single day for quite
Yep.
some time, like maybe 3 weeks. And I know.
3 weeks.
Well, the
I
thing is,
wish down here.
right. I mean, you just said 17 days of over 100. So it's feeling like over 100 here
Right.
for,
But it just broke there.
it did. It
It
broke.
ain't breaking.
Right. But what I'm saying is like we can't make it through a summer without that, but I can't
Yeah.
imagine living it for that long. Right. You know what I mean? Because I didn't pick to live in the South. I'm like, it used to not be this hot here. And now
Yeah.
yeah. So I'm glad it broke. It's a normal 85, which I can handle all day, every day.
That is a dream. I wish it was
I know.
85 here.
I know.
I literally put pumpkins on the porch.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, all the fall decor is out,
Manifest
inside,
it. Mm-hmm.
outside. I'm like, people driving by probably think that I am insane. I don't care. Once school starts, in my brain, it's fall and this
Yep.
stuff needs to go away.
Yeah.
And
Ball and
what is
football and
happening?
all the stuffs. Yep.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Football's coming back. I could
Mm-hmm.
care less, but it's all I hear about.
Mm-hmm.
It's all I hear about. Everybody's ready
Mm-hmm.
for football season. So I'm like, okay, cool. That to me means cooler weather,
Mm-hmm.
nights on the back porch watching the football game.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe we start a fire. Like, I'm here for it. Let's do it.
Mm-hmm.
Get me
Yeah.
out of this heat.
Yeah. It's a lot. You have to be outside a little bit more than me because of all your plants and stuff. Like I
Yeah.
literally, I mean, when we would go boating and stuff, it sucked until we could get going. Like it sucked to get everything together. But otherwise, but you're like out there working all the time on those plants. And I'm sure
Yeah,
it's
it's
harder
not
to
so
keep them
bad.
alive.
It's usually like I'll go water in the backyard, takes about 15 minutes, and then get a break in the AC, and then I'll go out front and do the plants out front. So
Mm-hmm.
it's a nice break. I mean, the AC's on 69 in the house at all times.
Mm-hmm.
So I get cold. I'm sitting with a blanket, right? Like I get cold in the house, and that's the way that I like it. I like to live my
Mm-hmm.
life bundled up. So it has to be cold to be able to do that.
Mm-hmm.
But sometimes I need a break and I need to thaw out. And so I'll go sit on the front porch or go water the plants or whatever. And it doesn't take long before I'm like, okay, AC. So
Yeah.
it gets wild.
Well, I'll tell you what I've been up to. So
Yeah.
I know that we always talk about to not bring your work home, right? So I have this passion project right now. So as you know, I've started to get into all things woo, and that's so fun for me. It's a fun, hobby, I guess, for me to learn everything there is to know about energy and about manifestation and about there's so many things that are just incredible for me to learn about. And so I started an app a while back, and I got to a point where I was like, oh, I love this. This is great. And then I started to talk to people about it, and I started to get a little bit of pushback because of this community is just it's wild. It's not specific.
Okay.
But they kind of have the way that, like you don't type your manifestations into an app. You know what I mean? Like you speak them into, or you write them with a pen and paper.
Yep.
And whatever. So I kind of got stuck for a while because I'm like, I have this idea, but is anybody going to use it? Right? Because if not, I don't want to spend all this time on it. Well, I had some conversations. All of this, like, you know how Little Black Book is, they're always trying to build your business bigger. You know what I mean? Like everyone's trying to help you grow. And they're like, what have you been sitting on? What could you be doing? And I'm like, well, I've been sitting on this app. I got stuck because I feel like I'm going in a wrong direction. And then I talk it out with a room full of 30 women. And now I'm like back on it. Like I know exactly how to do this. So
Nice.
So I've been back at it, and I have, so we're in this meeting. They're like, okay, when's your goal? When do you want to have this online? Blah, blah, blah. And I said, November 31st. And I was like, that's not a date. So November 30th, but it's just funny.
It didn't even register to me when you first
No.
said it. I was like, all right, here we go. Oh,
Yeah. And then I'm like, hold on, there's a December 31st. There's not a November 31st. So anyway, so November 30th is the day that I've put out there, and I want everybody to help hold me accountable to that. That it will all be online, like on the app stores, no glitches, everything perfect. And that's only a few months away. So
yeah.
So I've got some work to do, but it's been really fun because I want this to be a community that brings people together to talk about and to learn more about all the woo, because it is a way of life for a lot of people, and it's really fun. So I'm really excited about it, and I can't wait until one day maybe I'm only running an app, that's about my passion, like that's my passion project. Who knows? Who knows?
Yeah, well, that is really exciting. And obviously, it's lighting you up. I can see it all over you while you're talking about
It's
it.
fun.
And I think that's the kind of energy that people should be looking for when, like, that's what your work should light you up, right?
Yeah.
Like when
because
you're like,
you can find something to do that, maybe you're really good at being an accountant, but it doesn't light you up. Find something that does, even if it's just a side hustle. We've had a big, long conversation about that. Today, I want to talk more into taking your side hustle and making it your full-time job.
your main hustle.
Yeah, your main hustle. Because I don't know, this is what I did, like whenever I was still in corporate, I started my business on the side, and I was trying to get it to a place where it would make me enough money and and that's not what happened. I had to just quit and jump and, go hard at it.
At some point, you do have to just take the leap and have faith.
Mm-hmm. Yes. But I think that a lot of people don't really know how to take the leap, or they need somebody to push them, a little bit.
Yeah.
So I want to talk about that today.
Well, before we dive in on how you get from point A to point B of the side hustle to main hustle of it all, I want to talk about side hustles in general. I think that for a lot of people, the concept of a side hustle is like, bleh. I already have a full-time job. I don't want another job. Or even I've been guilty of this in the past myself too. Like, I don't want to be bombarded by my friends or coworkers who are selling something on the side and doing like the side hustle of it all. I think it's gotten a little bit of a bad rap because of the association with the MLMs of the world and that kind of thing. Like, some people just have natural aversions to that.
Yeah, you're just trying to make money off of people, right? Like that. Some side hustles are like that. Some of them are going to be a full-blown, your full-time business. Some of them are just, we talked about a couple weeks ago, I think, talked about that. Sometimes it's just something to have a little fun, like when you turn your hobbies into side hustles and you're like, I'm just going to make these blankets. And so I sell one blanket a month, right? So side hustles can be a lot of things, right?
Yes. And that's kind of what I wanted to get to. Like, if you are one of those people that you're like, ugh, I really don't want a side hustle. Like, I don't want to work two jobs. What we really want to dig into today isn't really about, let's go start a side hustle and we're going to have, two jobs forever. That's not the goal. But how do you get into what you really want to do, whether it's starting your own business or getting into a completely different field, without leaving behind the security of what you're doing now and what you have now? And I think it is possible. I think it's totally possible.
It absolutely is. And so this conversation is just about how to transition, right? How to make it a full-time thing. Because, for those of you that just need to stay busy and you're like, I'm always going to have a full-time and I'm always going to have a side hustle because I want to stay busy in the evenings, good for you. But this conversation's about a means to an end, right? I don't want to work full-time and in the evenings for the rest of my life. That is, I mean, drives me crazy to think about working my life away like that. But for a means to an end, to go and do what I want to do and not work for somebody else, hells yeah, let's go.
Yeah, I think, some people are sitting right where you are. Like, what have you been putting off? What have you been like, what
Hmm.
grand idea or fantasy for your life have you been neglecting because you can't see how to get from point A to point B because you need the job that you have?
Hmm.
And I, by no means am I saying go quit, follow your dreams. Like, sometimes that is exactly that. It's a fantasy, right?
Hmm.
Don't quit yet. But
Hmm.
I do think that there are things that we could do in the meantime while we're getting through what we've got now to set ourselves up and prepare the way
Hmm.
for what could really turn into a reality.
Hmm.
Again, don't quit yet, but that doesn't mean that you don't start putting things into place that are going to set you up for that.
Yeah.
And because at some point, it's going to be time to bet on yourself and spread your wings and fly, baby bird.
Yeah. So I want to talk about, because there's two very different schools of thought when it comes to starting a side hustle. So
Mm-hmm.
some people think that you just need to like test the waters. Like, let's just go out there. Don't worry about a website. Don't worry about making it legit in any way. Like, let's just find out, dip your toes, see if anybody wants to buy what you're selling, right? If your side hustle is to, sell the chunky knit blankets, that's my example, because that's what my side
Because
hustle
that's
would
what you
be.
do.
Yeah. But I don't make it a side hustle. But if
Yeah.
so, like if I was trying to, I need to find out if there's a market in that, because a lot of people sell them.
Yep.
Like a lot of people sell them all over Etsy. I'm sure you can, there's hundreds, if not thousands of people who sell them.
Mm-hmm.
So, can I find a niche where I can sell these, where it can become a real business, right? So, some people think that you should dip your toe and see if this is something that even people want in your area, in your niche, whatever. And then there's the school of thought that's like, if you're going to do this, if your goal is to turn this into a real business that is going to support you or your family or whoever, like, don't you need a full business plan? And don't you need to start with a website? And don't you need all of
Yeah.
the things that make
The
you
foundational
legitimate,
things.
right? The
Mm-hmm.
LLC and the, like, let's make this official, right? So I think that I can't give my opinion. I mean, the way that I did it is I made it official, right? Like I was going all in. And so I made it official. But I think that some people do need to, the radar is not even on yet. Let's make this a full-time gig. It's like, will people even want what I have to give? And so I think you have to think of it like that, but that is a hard decision. Like, do you go all
It
in
is.
from the beginning? Do you pay for that, two, three, four, $5,000 website? Do you do everything that you're supposed to do to make it official? Or do you just dip your toe? I think that might be the difference in how long it might take to,
Yeah.
because if you're going all in, you're probably putting a little bit more effort than dipping your toe,
Yeah.
right?
But not everybody is in a position to where they can go all in on day
Yeah.
one, right?
Mm-hmm.
Like
Yep.
when you think about the reality of finances, like I can't give up my full-time job. Some people don't have the opportunity to go, oh, I'm just going to completely bet on myself and go beyond the income that you need right now, the income that you need to invest into said business. I just want people to do the damn thing, even if it means it has to start as a side hustle.
Mm-hmm.
If that is what your heart is calling you to do, that is your way out, that is what is fueling you.
Mm-hmm.
Like you with the app, you're lucky enough to be in a scenario where the work that you do and then the side hustle of it all kind of bleeds in together. So it's easy to
Yeah, I don't
combine
have to
in it.
pay somebody else, and I can work on
Right.
it in between stuff and not have to switch gears
Yeah.
so
But
terribly. But
I think that there is a way that you can start to build and dabble in entrepreneurship
mm-hmm.
as a side hustle and kind of let it grow organically on its own.
Mm-hmm.
And, to your point, maybe it's testing the waters, figuring out if this thing has legs, or maybe you're like, I know it has legs. I just am not in a place where I can go full throttle yet.
Mm-hmm.
That's okay. Either way, how?
Yeah.
That's a real question. You're saying, oh, Mandy, it's so possible. I've never done it. I
Mm-hmm.
know it's possible. It happens all the time.
Mm-hmm.
But how?
Yeah. Well, and I think first and foremost to people, you have to figure out the how, but first you have to figure out, like, I needed to hurry. For me, I was going crazy.
Mm-hmm.
Um, so I needed to hurry, and then I ended up jumping too soon, and it worked out because I had the fear, if
Yeah.
anyone's seen that episode of Friends, I had the fear, so I had to go hard to make sure that I didn't lose my house. And yeah, I think that some people probably try and jump too soon and they don't have luckily I had a little bit of money in savings. Like I had several
Yeah.
months where I could make it all happen. But try not to rush yourself, I think is my advice on this. And then we go into the rest. But like, don't rush it
Yeah.
because then you might really burn yourself out before you even get started. Let this be a slow roll. I'm just kind of an all or nothing person too. Like I'm
Yeah.
not
And
like,
I think a
oh,
lot
we'll
of
build
people
this
are
on the side.
I
Mhm,
think a lot of people are built like you. But if
mhm,
you go into starting a business, whether it's going to be full, I'm all in,
mhm,
or we're going to slow roll it, no matter the attitude on that angle, if you go into this going, okay, when can I quit my job?
mhm.
You're probably going to be cutting some corners that
Yeah.
are going to set you up for some heartache in
Mhm,
the future. So I would say, don't take that angle. This isn't about when can you quit your job. If it's something that's really lighting you on fire, then even the little bits on the side that you can do, that progress is going to feel worthwhile.
mhm. I think so too. I think so too. But I think that some people do need to write out their goals. And so it's like, okay, well, maybe it's not about when can I quit, it's about how. And that's what you were
Mhm.
starting to talk about, how. So the how is I need to be making this much money, right? I need to be making this much money off the side hustle to quit. I need to be able to afford health
Yeah.
insurance, right? And we talked to Rachel a few months ago
Mhm.
about how you can get those quotes and understand them. And what's it going to cost to run this business over a period of time? So you need to give yourself a little time because you need to put all that into it. Because I just left corporate knowing that I needed to make like at least $5,500 a month was my
Mhm.
thing. And to be able to pay my mortgage, all my bills, and feel comfortable just living and never having to say no to life, right?
Yep.
I made more than that before, but I'm like, I could make this much. Well, I didn't take into account a lot of things, because over
Yeah,
time,
because it costs money to live. And just because your
well,
side hustle brings in
mhm.
$5,500 a month doesn't mean you have it.
Right. That's the thing. So I had to pay for insurance for the company.
Mhm.
Right. And when you break it down, it's like, that's only $1,000 a year. Right. So really it's not, but it's like, but that's not the only expense. Like I have a spreadsheet
Yep.
full of all the expenses for this business, and it's a lot, like it
Yeah.
costs a lot of money to run a business. You need a lot of subscriptions. You need a lot of, I mean, there's so many
Yeah,
different things.
software and the
Mhm,
supplies that you need, your
mhm,
insurance, there's taxes, you have to
mhm.
market. We got
Taxes.
lucky.
People
This is
don't think
a
about
marketing
taxes.
business.
Yes, people don't
Yeah,
think about taxes at all. That is a rude awakening.
it really is. If
Mhm,
you are going to have any kind of employees, there's more than just their salary associated when it comes to
mhm,
taxes and all the things.
mhm,
There are business expenses. So do the work on the front end, figure out what that number is, but also incorporate all the things that go along with that and set some of those goals so that you know when it's safe to walk away.
mhm,
What I think is when we get down to the how of it all, a really smart way to look at things. And this is something that we presented even in our prior life, thinking about the service industry, having employees that were most of the time still in school, things like
mhm,
that. And then they come to work and it's like they don't always give 100%, how that's just the nature of
mhm,
the beast.
mhm,
Um, but when you take into account that these kids were going to school all day and then they were coming to work, like they had a 9 to 5, right?
mhm,
And then they came to work and they were doing their 5 to 9.
mhm,
We can take that same concept and apply that to your side hustle. You still have your 9 to 5,
mhm.
but what can you do between 5 and 9 that will build a business on the side that has legs to get you where you want
Yep.
to go in the future? And I think that that concept of them being just multiple shifts
Mm-hmm.
is, I have to organize in my
Schedule
brain
it.
in a
You got to
way,
schedule it.
yeah,
Yeah.
in a
Mm-hmm.
way that really makes sense. You're essentially working two jobs. Yes.
Yes. Mm-hmm.
There's answering emails. You have to make the product that you're going to sell or work
Mm-hmm.
with the clients that you are offering services to, create the
Yep.
content, the marketing of your business, unless you're lucky like us and your business is marketing,
Mm-hmm.
it's going to cost you something, time or money, one of the
Mm-hmm.
two. So scheduling those things in there, building a website or learning how to do all of those things yourself, sending invoices, doing your bookkeeping, like all of those things take time, effort,
Yep.
and energy or money. So
Mm-hmm.
building those things in, um, if you watch people's journey through these sort of things on TikTok, it all looks so easy because it's all curated.
Mm-hmm.
But it's exactly that. It's not a real snapshot of what the real world looks like
Yeah,
when you're
they're not
building.
showing you,
Yeah,
that they're doing this at midnight because they worked all
exactly.
day. Well, and so what I think that I would have done different, all right, when you're talking about the bookkeeping and the social media and the
Mhm.
all the things that you need to do. If I hadn't been in such a hurry, right? If I could have let this play out over 2 years to build everything up, I would have, while I still had a big income over here, I would have paid somebody to do all my invoicing. I would have paid somebody to not really do my social media, but like help with administrative tasks so that
Yeah.
I could get more stuff done and I could use my creativity that I didn't already
Where it belonged.
blow, somewhere else. I would have done that. And then if you do that and you go into like now you know what the expenses of your business are over that time, you're going to delegate the things that you don't love to do because you already put it into the budget, right? I
Yeah.
I went and I started my business and I had to do everything all by myself because there wasn't any money, like, because I left my job too soon. So there wasn't money to pay people to do anything. So I'm doing everything myself and just like, uh, you know,
On a
going a
wing and a
little bit
prayer.
crazy. Yeah, and it took me years to be able to pay other people to do things, you know? And if I were smart, I would have, like, that's advice that I would give people, like, the things that you hate to do, the things that even don't look forward to doing, pay somebody to do them. And while you can use the profits from your business, you don't have to use them to pay your bills. You can use them to build your business.
Yeah.
That's what I would have done for sure.
Well, I think that's really smart because in some ways I feel like we're talking out of both sides of our mouth. So much of
We
our
always are.
conversations, I know, so many of our conversations are about quality of life and how do you take back all the things. It's like if you're telling yourself through this time of having a side hustle that this is a means to an end, I would also tell you to be wary of that trap
Mhm.
because it can be exactly that. If you're telling yourself this is short term, but 2 years later, it hasn't grown any further and you're still burning the candle at both ends and you're sacrificing these things over here on the other side, it's like you do have to make a decision as to what the most important thing really is to you. Okay.
Mhm.
So, in the interest of not seeming like complete hypocrites, I do
Mhm.
want to clarify we are not advocating for everybody to work their fingers to the bone until they die, right? But if
Mhm.
this could be a means to an end, setting those boundaries within your time, I think is really, really smart. Not only like what nights do you work your 5 to 9? Do you
Yep.
have designated business nights where this is what I do on Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays? I work, that's an extra 12 hours a week that I can put towards building this thing over here. Or
Mhm.
maybe it's a number of hours a week, or maybe it's like I'm going to give myself a whole year of putting everything I have into this outside of my full-time job to make it what it can be.
Mhm.
But I'm
Yeah.
going to give myself a hard stop. Like, I'm going to give myself a year. And at the end of this year, I'm going to bet on myself or I'm going to be honest with myself about what's not working to do things differently.
Yep.
Because the
Yeah,
last thing you want to
reevaluate.
do is have every minute of your life be consumed by work in one place or the other, right?
Yeah, super long term. We don't want that super
Yeah.
long term, right? If this is, we all need to invest in our futures, right? Like
Yep.
sometimes we say you should go to college for that. And sometimes we say you don't even need college for that, right? Like we are always going to be talking out of both sides of our mouth on this. But if you are investing in your future, that is a time where you can hustle, right?
Yep.
We don't want you to hustle from the time you're 20 years old until you're 65 and retiring or beyond because you just, you didn't save anything, you just hustled. So just keep it in mind that you do have to evaluate, you do have to make sure that this is not your 10-year plan. This is a 2-year, a 3-year plan, or even, a 1 year, like you just said. And because you might be on the wrong train too, right?
Yep.
I have this app going, right? But if I get to the end of it and I get it all online and I put my all into it for a year and it's just not doing it, I'm not going to keep pushing and keep working extra, extra, extra. You know what I mean? Like
Right. Like,
that's not a good use of time. Let's invest in something that is going to move the needle for you to either get out of your 9 to 5 or just have that, extra
at
thing going in the
least get
background.
some mailbox money. Yeah,
Yes,
absolutely.
yes.
But
Hmm.
I also think that, while we are encouraging people to take your time, set the foundations properly, have your budgets in place, have your time boundaries in place, all of those things, I also don't want people to be waiting for perfection. You don't
Hmm.
have to have perfection to get started.
Hmm.
You need a product that people are going to buy or a service that people are going to sign up for, and you need a way for them to find you, to
Hmm.
actually be able to buy it, to actually be able to hire you for
Hmm.
whatever it is that you're offering. And that does not require 5 social media platforms or the perfect website or some
Hmm.
complicated CRM system. Like, don't overcomplicate it. What is the minimum version of your business that it would take to actually make money? Start
Hmm.
there.
Yeah.
I-
Yeah.
If you build it,
Just
they will
start.
come,
Yes.
but you
Hmm.
just have to get it going.
Hmm.
Absolutely. Instead of spending those 6 months making it look like a business, spend that 6 months proving that it is a business.
Well, and that's what I was talking about earlier. You have to do it one way or the other. You have to either
Yeah.
go all in and make it the fancy shiny business, or you need to go and just start to try it out and see if it works, right? And so everyone has to make that decision for themselves, and that's absolutely fine. But what is your goal? You know what I mean? Like
Yep.
what's your goal? Figure that part out, and then you can start to create that quit number, like
Yep.
what's the number that is going to get me out of here,
Yeah.
because we all make enough or not quite enough, at our jobs. And it can be really scary to leave
Yeah.
money that is, and I always used to think of it as guaranteed money, right? And that is
Mhm.
stupid now, knowing how many companies are downsizing and,
Yeah, it was
you
never a
know,
guarantee.
no, it was never guaranteed, but it felt guaranteed because I was good at my job and I felt the security of the work, right? But I felt secure in that, and you almost never feel completely secure when you own a business.
Yeah, because you're risking everything. You
Mhm.
really are having to bet on yourself. And
Yeah.
when you are betting on yourself, you have to work
Mhm.
that much harder because it's a huge risk.
Mhm.
It's not a risk to show up every day to your corporate life knowing that how much money is in their bank is not your problem. They're
Right,
going
and
to
they're
have to pay
always
you.
gonna have the sales, right? Like these big
Yeah.
corporations, it would take a lot to crash them. It would take almost
Mhm.
nothing to crash my marketing business. You know what I mean? Like, as
Right.
a small business, it's
Vulnerable. It's
yes,
very, very vulnerable.
it is vulnerable, right? And if you pour into it every day, you can make it less vulnerable all the time. With a marketing business, I feel I could have quit my job making $5,500 a month or whatever. And then the next month I could have been making $2,000, right?
Yep.
Like, and that's how
It
most
could have been
side hustles
huge.
are. So I think that you have to have, you have to be really brave to do that, and to know that you are literally betting on yourself and you are literally in charge of your own success, and you are your business. It's a lot. but I have so much proof, I guess we'll say, from all of the amazing people that I've watched do this, that it
Yeah.
works. If you work hard enough, then it works. You just have to figure out when the time to jump is. It can be a little difficult.
Yeah, and I think it's really smart for those people who aren't trying to jump on day one to, instead of being, you know, frustrated or even bitter per se that you can't jump all at once, like use your real job, if you will, your
Mm-hmm.
guaranteed money to fund the escape into this side hustle that if
Mm-hmm.
you're doing it right, you actually really love to do. And let that be what provides stability while you are getting the creative outlet, turning it into something that can eventually live and breathe on its own
Mm-hmm.
instead of just being like, I cannot wait to get out of here. If you've already hit that point, this might not be the time for you to slow roll something. You might be a
Mm-hmm.
Mandy Alt in the situation
Mm-hmm.
and either have to find something else that you can do in the meantime or just go all in and
Well,
see where
yeah,
the cards
it's like,
fall.
is your business ready or are you just miserable at work? It's like
Right.
I I don't know. I always say I have no right to jump when I did, but it was
Mm-hmm.
like, this is what I'm going to do. And I will put everything I have into this. And it worked. Right.
Mm-hmm.
So I believe that you just have to, you need to, you need to make a decision based on what you really want, but also try and be financially secure as much as you can. But then
Yeah.
sometimes you just have to go and work as hard as you can, right? I I have a hard time giving the same advice that I of what I did because
Yeah.
it was
Your
really
lived
scary.
experience.
Yeah, it was
Mm-hmm.
really scary, but sometimes you hate your job that much, it's like, well, just going to get fired anyway, might as well get out of here.
But I think that some people really do just hate their job. It's not that they want entrepreneurship, right?
Mhm.
And that is something that we should be asking ourselves. If your current job just suddenly was amazing tomorrow, would you still want to start this side business?
Mhm.
If the answer to that question is no, if this job suddenly got better, I wouldn't want to do this thing. Maybe this thing isn't what we should really be working
Yeah,
toward.
going all in on, or
Yeah,
I mean, you might just need a different job. You know what I mean? Like you
right.
might still want to work for someone else just in a different capacity because you just hate your job that much. You don't actually love the next thing that you want to do. I I think that that's huge advice because if you don't love what you're trying to build, you know what I mean? Like, or if you're
And
not at least
honestly,
all the way bought into it, I guess we'll
yeah,
say.
even if you love what you're doing, if you
Mhm.
don't love the what is the word I'm looking for? The thrill, the adrenaline of what it really takes
Mhm.
to be an entrepreneur, like
Mhm.
running your own business does not eliminate stress or difficult people or the long hours or the administrative work, all the things
Yeah,
that
or
sort
the
of eat your
burnout,
lunch. Yeah.
like,
It
yeah.
doesn't. In fact, it can compound it. So if you're
Mhm.
not really ready to take all of that on,
Mhm.
because it's something that is going to fuel a passion of something that you really love to do and let that really kind of take over on the motivation side, then, you know, sometimes being your own boss is choosing the absolute worst boss. I
Mhm.
can tell you, hands down, I've said this a billion times. I've told you this. I've probably said it a bunch of times on the podcast. I'm so glad that when I left my corporate life, I did not go try to start my own business. I joined you in your mission because the grit that it takes to do what you did, I had nothing left to
Yeah.
pour into that,
Mhm.
nor did I have the desire to do that.
Mhm.
Never say never. I think that
Yeah.
now I might be in a little bit different of a headspace to consider something like that.
Mhm.
Or when I say now, like in the future, but like at the time, that was just not even on my radar whatsoever. I didn't want anything to do with entrepreneurship
Yeah.
at all. Like,
Well,
just give me work
and
that I can do and I
yeah.
can clock out and be done
Well,
and live
and
my life.
you needed security, right? Like you needed a little bit more
Absolutely.
security, and the fact that you trusted me with that doesn't even make sense to me. But we
Doesn't
made
make
it a
sense
whole
to me
work.
either, and I love you
Yes,
with my whole heart.
I know. But like we were sure, it worked. So it's like it works. But
Yeah.
it's just it's one of those things that I think that people do need to give themselves a gut check. Like, do I want a business or do I want out of here? And that was good to bring up. So let's say that you have your side hustle, it's building, it's growing, you're like, oh, I might be almost ready. It is so scary. Like, it is so scary to think about losing that security, right? So here are some signs that your side hustle may be ready to become your main hustle. First and foremost, that is consistently making money, right? Like that's
important.
Yeah, it's very important. And it's kind of the main thing that people are looking at, but there are other things. So the demand exceeds the time that you currently have available, right? So I actually was at that point. It was not making enough money for me to live, but the demand was, I knew that I would have the clients if I had the time to actually do it. Whenever I was trying to do this, I literally worked 80 hours a week. Like it was such a crazy time that I wasn't able to build beyond where I was at because of the time that my job took. If you're turning down paying work because of your full-time job, if you have repeat customers or recurring revenue, right? Like, I know with social media management specifically, I know that we're going to have that money coming in. You know what I mean? Like, so when you know that you have these recurring clients, that's really helpful to knowing. You have savings. You know all of the actual expenses. There are so many things that can make you understand that it's about time, but then you have to build up your bravery, because the next step is, oh crap, I actually quit, right? And
Yeah,
it can really
I
get you.
definitely had that moment for sure. But I mean, if you have all of those things and you're like checking all the boxes, we're making enough money, I need more time to pour into this, like all of those boxes are checked, and you still want to do this after experiencing the parts that are really not so glamorous, you still want to do this and you take that leap, that, oh crap, I actually quit moment, that I think that is ever present for everyone anytime you walk away from a sure thing, that security. What you do with that moment is important. Don't shut down. Do not spiral. Like, you actually now are potentially on the verge of living that moment that you actually dreamed about. So,
but you have to rebuild the structure. So I lived in a bubble of like, I could never finish the list, right? In corporate, I could never finish the list. So I stayed busy and I was very, very productive. When you go into a situation where you don't have enough work to fill your day, I guess we'll say, it is really easy to get a little lazy on it. And even though I needed to move, like I needed to hustle because I needed more clients, it's really easy to be like, well, I don't have any work to do. You have to be self-motivated, or you have to schedule it, or you have to find a way. And I know that you and I talked a lot at the beginning about, like, I literally would get completely, like, I took a shower every single morning at 8 a.m. and I was completely ready by 9 o'clock. And because otherwise I could have literally been like, well, I don't really have anything to do today. It's like, yes, I do need to go out and build business, but like, how am I going to do that? It's like, no, you need to make a plan.
You
make
can't
a plan
do that
for
if you're
every
not up
minute
and
of the
dressed
day.
and ready to go. I mean,
Yes.
that's the first start. I think
Mhm.
losing the structure of your normal work day when there's nobody to tell you what you should be doing at 9 a.m., that's really, really tough. So creating that structure for yourself immediately will help you from derailing what that whole vision was entirely. But you also have to be careful about working more because there's really no clock out time. And that's when it kind of goes back to our normal scheduled, conversation about not letting work overtake your whole life. Once you've done that, you've built it. Okay, I quit. Now this is my main hustle. Set boundaries around that main hustle. Boundaries that make you work when you're supposed to be working and make you hang it up when you're not. That way, this can become a sustainable way of living instead of building a beast that is going to eat you alive just like corporate could.
Yeah. Everything that we've talked about when we've talked about work life, just last week, we talked about not letting work change you at home. And I'm talking about all of this from the view of, I work for myself. I work from my living room, truly, most of the time. You have to be just as, I mean, more vigilant, I think, whenever you're in charge of the hours, because you can really uh, make it hard on your family by
Yep.
doing it this way. So I don't know.
Yeah, I definitely have found that. And, I wanted to leave the corporate world to be more present with my kids and be available, with them going into high school and all the
Hmm.
things. And then I had to start to protect that time a little bit differently. It was like, okay, yeah, I can take you to the doctor's appointment, or I can show up to this pep rally, or I can go to that. And like, if I was robbing hours during the day, regardless of whether or not there was a deadline that I was missing, or I actually had client work that really needed my attention, I needed to figure out how to flip-flop time instead of just rob time.
Hmm.
And when you're not quite there yet and you're allowing that time to be robbed by even really great and positive things in your world, it's hard to take that back. So
Yeah.
setting those boundaries early
Hmm.
on and making it realistic, the more you respect it, the more the people around you will.
Yeah. And something that I had to do in our corporate world, we spent a lot of time trying to get our boss to give us very specific deadlines. Like,
Mhm.
let us set us up for success. We want to do this exactly how you want it done, but we need deadlines or else we'll put it off, because that's how we do.
That's human
And
nature. Yeah.
yeah, and I think that you can still be a procrastinator and be an excellent business owner, but you have to set deadlines for yourself then. And you need to believe them too,
Yep.
because I've set deadlines for myself and been like, meh, well, I don't really care. And so I'll do it tomorrow. But you have to set hard and fast deadlines, and like you have to stick to them, because that, I think, is one of the hardest things. I don't have a client breathing down my neck for this, but I mean, we get paid as soon as it's done.
When it's
So
done, there's
yeah,
money.
yeah.
Yeah.
So you have to push it, right? But you can get a little comfortable sometimes being like, but my family wants to go on the boat this afternoon. And it's like, yes, we need to plan stuff like that. But if I have a deadline, I have to stick to that too. And that's just, turning the
Yep.
side hustle into a full time. There are things to think about. And
Deadlines make a
mhm,
world of difference for me.
yes.
And
Hmm.
it can't be, and this is just the way that my brain works.
Hmm.
If I set a deadline for myself, that's not real.
Hmm.
That's not real.
Yep.
If I make a commitment to another human being, if I
Hmm.
tell a client, hey, we have a meeting on Monday morning at 9 a.m. for me to show you your website's going to be done because I'm not going to look like an idiot.
Yeah. Hmm. Yep.
We're going to be ready to go. So I'm going to do what I have to do to make that happen. But
Hmm.
if I have in my brain, your website's going to be ready at 9 a.m. on Monday, but I haven't told you that, I'm 10 times more likely to push that deadline on myself.
Yep.
I'm not going to do
Hmm.
it to somebody else. So I would say it's kind of like what I was saying a while ago. When you respect those boundaries, other people will respect them, but it goes both ways.
Yep.
If you set your own deadlines
Yep.
and have somebody else holding you accountable, you're 10 times more likely to follow it.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. Well, there are so many more things that we could say about running a business once you get all jumped in and this is your full-time gig. We
Mm.
could, I mean, and maybe we'll talk about that on the next episode. Like, what are the things that you should think about when running a business, right? To make you
Yep.
not tear your hair out. Uh, I mean, that could be a 20-part series. So
Right.
we'll see what we do with that, but maybe we'll see. The biggest thing that I'm thinking about is just setting systems for everything in
That's
running a
what I was
business.
about to
Like,
say. I think that we should explore that next week and dive into what is a realistic side hustle to main hustle roadmap.
yeah, yeah. To systemize it. So
Yeah,
let me get with Brie K. Let's see if Brie K will come on with us next week. She might be able to fit that on her schedule, and she can
that'd be
talk
really
about
cool.
that roadmap. We'll see. Okay. Well, we will, this is ever changing and ever, like coming
Yeah.
together. But if you guys have any other, like we're just coming up with this stuff on the fly based on what people ask us about, or,
Hmm.
what one thing leads to the next. So if you guys have any topics that you would like us to dig into, sometimes we can learn stuff where we already have the experience. Sometimes we can find an expert that we know to come in and talk about it. So please just put it in the comments or send us an email or get on our website and put in a form. But we would love to hear what you guys want to hear about,
Yeah.
because this is
And
all about you growing.
with this side hustle gig, if there is, questions or, roadblocks that you're running into that we are completely omitting, like give us a shout, let us know. Cause I think there's more to this conversation. And I think there are people that want to make something happen and fear will stand in the way.
Yeah.
So let's have the
Hmm.
conversation. Let's dive in together because that's where the magic happens.
Yeah. All right. Well, I loved this conversation, and hopefully we can continue it a little bit next week.
All right. Talk to
All
you
right.
later.
See you
Bye.
next week. Bye.